what to do with a super freak. This era of the physical freak has morphed the game of basketball beyond physical recognition. It's becoming more and more difficult to compete on today's athletic plane. The odds of becoming the most physically gifted player on the court are quite slim. Fortunately, the measure of performance is determined by the net results of technical actions and not necessarily the physical prowess of the performer. This application bridges the gap between the super freak and the average athlete. Physics, in one form or another, is one of the oldest academic disciplines. It seeks to understand very basic concepts such as force, mass, energy, and momentum. And through the use of precise movement, you will be able to execute in ways that will produce matrix-like outcomes during play. Now, martial art has shown for centuries that there are no mathematical or physical limits to optimizing technique or execution. The power lies in ultimate focus on applying the basics as an art form. It makes athleticism less of a factor. It allows you to transcend physical dependencies or deficiencies, if there are any, and negate the physicality of your opponent. Basketball is one of the few sports in which the offense has the advantage. Unfortunately, many players and teams give theirs away with poor technique and a flawed offensive approach. If all of our movements are in frames, as in motion pictures, and we can learn to control our movements in each frame, then we should be able to mislead and manipulate opponents with our intentions in early frames of movement. Therefore, we can control our opponents regardless of how athletic they are by proposing an action and being continuously contrary to their responses. It becomes easy to make necessary changes to exploit and maintain advantage. Uncovering these truths are absolutes in the portal to peak performance for anyone. Now, guys, many of the world players have figured this out, but many of the American players have not. The information is out there. Why are our players more reluctant to attach? Any ideas?
I think our select game, our select club atmosphere changed the momentum of technical advances for the players. So I think our select game allowed players, it allowed the players to play more, but to work less on their skill development and understanding the game.
When you say select, you mean travel ball?
AAU.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, yes.
You know what's funny about you saying that, Craig? I remember I played for a coach. He was one of our, it was early on. I was fortunate enough to have him as a kid. And we used to always be jumping up and down. Coach, can we play? And he would say, we'd be doing all these drills and whatnot, man. And he would say to us, yeah, you can play when you learn can play. That's when we'll play. When you learn how to play. So we do drills basically all practice long. Then at the end, he let us scrimmage just to keep us excited enough to come back. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I believe that's the way it should be. But now, because you have so many programs, it's more about just rolling the ball out and letting them play, which I think there's a time for that too. I don't want that to be like, you should never do that.
Right.
But I think there has to be a balance. Well, there has to be a balance. And I think, go ahead.
No, our girls don't seem to have that issue, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, because I think, you know what else has happened, I think, too, is this right here. I think the physicality and the athleticism of players to some degree have outdistanced what some of the coaching is able to understand.
What do you mean by that? Break that part down.
Yeah, really.
So
explain that.
I think because and I think the game has gotten to the point so much where it's so fast right now
Mhm.
that the coaches that are really good coaches have gotten pushed behind because it's like, well, you're too old school. So there's no balance of old school versus meeting with new school and it coming together. You know, now it's
Mm-hmm.
all because I see it all the time. Like I last year I was working with somebody in the gym and that's all they wanted to do was is go in the gym and just faster, faster, faster.
Mhm. Mhm.
Didn't care about the technical part of what was going on out on the floor. Just let them play. They'll play through it. Well, yeah, you want them to play through things, but you also want to coach them through understanding things, you
Mhm.
know? And I think that's where I say the select game has gotten dangerous because you have so many people with that thought process. It's then now forced it forced everybody else. Like I talk to a couple of coaches at the Division 1 level and they go, "Man, we get these guys in here and it takes us 3 weeks just to break down the bad habits that
Yeah.
they've developed while they've been working and they think
Three
they can come in
weeks.
here and do the same thing. They think they can come in here and do the same thing that they've gotten away with doing because it's filtered into their high school programs where the coaches now are doing less coaching
Mm,
and more
mm.
just let's just play and and they think because yeah man we're playing hard in the gym, yeah, that's part of it,
Yeah.
but you still have to coach, you have to coach talent
Well,
no matter what.
I had a kid tell me when I was coaching, at the high school over here. He, uh, he was very talented. He was athletic. He couldn't but he couldn't put the ball in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And but he was still s he could still get numbers. And my dad at the time was running, clinics for the kids on the weekend, shooting clinics. And I was like, "Hey, man, you gotta make sure you get this weekend, you make you get in there and get some work." And he looked at me with a smirk and said, "Coach, are you not paying attention to the games? I don't need a jumper. Can't nobody stop me?" And he was half right. He was so gifted. He had a remarkable first step. He was gifted at getting in the paint, and he could figure out ways to score. But imagine how much easier the game would be for him
Yes.
if he could
Mm-hmm.
shoot. And
Yes.
that's and being
We
the alpha athlete's only gonna get you so far because as soon as
right
you get in the gym with other high flyers, other guys who are super fast and super quick, now what do you rely on to manipulate? You
It's,
don't.
it's
You
not just
become
high flyers though. It's not
right,
just high flyers. It's skilled and players
skill.
that,
Yeah,
that have the knowledge of how to play the game. They can
correct,
also affect a super freak athlete. You
correct,
know what I'm saying? And kind of compensate for his disadvantages athletically by knowing
correct.
how to play the game and attacking in the right way. You
Well,
know, so
you see it. Your boy, with Luca, right in your backyard, you see
right
yep,
that. I
exactly.
mean,
Yes.
you see that with a lot of these players. I mean, it's an anomaly for the European players to come over here as hyper athletic, like the kid in Finland right now. Say his
yes
name.
yeah.
That's
uh,
not normal. And
Who?
the kid, the
Finland.
youngster,
yeah the
the
young
young
yeah yeah I forget his name, I know who you're talking about.
But okay, the point is, he's so hyper athletic. It's probably that if when 80% of those kids become like that, then it'll become an issue probably in their environment because
Mm-hmm.
these kids are so talented and there's so much on the line. You have to dance in between emotions and certain things to keep allegiance because after all we're in the age of NIL where the kid can go to the next spot. So the
Right.
catering's a lot different. So like my dad says sometimes we'll be watching games and my dad will be like, I just don't believe that the coach is that bad. Those kids aren't listening. There's no way I
Yeah.
don't believe it. You can't convince me that the coaches aren't telling these kids the right things. It just doesn't always come across.
Oh, you talking on the college level or
Especially on the college level and
yeah,
the high
yeah,
school level
yeah.
and
Well,
even the NBA level. I mean,
you know they said that they don't have time to give those kids what they need. They need to come prepared. We spoke on that a few shows ago. It's the responsibility of the trainers and the coaches, the people that are around that player to make sure he's getting what he needs to prepare him for each step.
yeah.
You know, I can go back. I don't mean to kind of mix things up, but I always going through the AAU process and watching my son and some of the training programs these kids were going through. I look back and I never said anything, but I felt cheated. I felt cheated by myself thinking back to my career because I swear, man, I never drilled. I mean, ever. Never went through cones. Never. It was roll the ball, let's go play. That's it. And I like to look back and like, damn, I wonder how good I would have been if I would have had that training and been taught how to play the game the right way. You see what I'm saying? That's spoiled milk. That's back behind us now.
Right.
There's no excuse at this particular time for any kid to go through any program or be with any trainer and don't have the skills. I don't care what size you are, height, or whatever, to at least have the basics, being able to handle, go left, go right, make decisions. That should be routine stuff at this particular time now.
It should be, but because there's no governing process to this field, there's no governing process to being in the AAU select, to being a trainer. There's no governing process. So people are out here, they're getting hoodwinked. You know,
Well,
they're getting hoodwinked by the programs and the trainers that they're with.
That's a shame.
So,
That's not cool.
I don't know why
it happens all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why Ed's on your line.
What's that?
Go ahead, Craig. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I think that's the issue that I think is going on right now. There's so many people in so much of this space that there's no governing process to have people have some sort of accountability to what they're charging for having these people come through the door, you know? And so, and like Troy, you said earlier, you're talking about a kid that you had. Well, I had a kid that same deal. And now he's going to be a senior in high school, and he's still a top 25, 30 kid, but he keeps going lower and lower. And when he was younger with me, I was like, hey man, I said, you know what? You're spending a lot of time in the gym playing. And I said, that's good. I said, you're getting a lot of competition. I said, hey man, I said, you've got to work on a 12, 15, 17 foot jump shot. I said, then you'll be untouchable.
Yeah.
He was shooting runners from the free throw line because he didn't feel comfortable enough to shoot a jump shot.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So now as he gets older, and then it comes to this with a lot of players when they're at that level. The three, which I always say is the easiest shot to take in basketball because there's no responsibility on the miss or make.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the easiest shot to get. There's no exploration. You don't need any exploration to get that shot.
Yeah. And so that's what you see in our game today. It's either all at the basket or all deep three.
You know, we've lost our sense of base psychology or the fundamental base, and then the breakdowns from the administrators. For example, you know, if you could talk to a kid like this, I believe, you know, son, there's only or young lady, there's only two things that happen on offense. Either it's off the dribble or it's off the catch. And if then you say to a kid, okay, well, what are the most basic principles off the catch? Well, that's early vision and early preparation. Are you doing those two things? Off the dribbles, there's some core functions. There's the hover. There's employing fractions of steps. I mean, those are the types of tools that that aren't necessarily presets, or like we talk about, you go on the trainers and they give you a bunch of moves and you don't really, you got a pocket full of moves, but you have like very little implementation ideas. You just have all this stuff, and you see all this skill set training where they're doing multiple memorizable things, as opposed to having default settings for effective play. Because when you have the default settings, then you're just processing play and you're not making anything up. And the thing that it's intriguing to me is our girls, our ladies and young ladies, they seem to get it.
Yeah.
they're
I believe it's the way they're being trained. They're not
Yeah.
they don't rely on the athleticism, so they have to be trained the right way to be able to get
but
things done
but the
in the right
girls
way. If that makes sense.
but the girls are, I mean, they may not be as athletic as the guys, but compared to themselves, there's varying degrees of athleticism because I see it. But I
True.
also see them using that like it used to be used back in the day, where if a guy could jump out of the gym, we knew plenty of guys in our day that could jump out the gym, but couldn't make the team
They struggle
because
when yeah.
yes,
True.
because you're not
Yeah.
using your physical skill set in line with your technical skill set. You know
The
that,
technical. I'm saying the technical is not there though. That's what I'm saying. I'm
but why?
the
That's I
freak
guess.
because it's not being taught. It's not being taught. You're talking about defaults. You got to explain to a young man what his default says, and then he has to fill them. You can teach him to him, but he still got to fill them and be able to execute that
I,
during
I,
play.
I,
You
I,
see,
I I think the American game got overran by the entertainment value. That's what
Yeah,
happened
absolutely,
to the
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
American.
but I still don't understand why. Okay, in the female environments, they're getting so somebody knows. I mean, people. It's not like people don't know. Are the guys just not listening because they're looking at you like, man, don't you see me touching the top of the backboard? And they're getting praise for all their physical
All the
prowess. I
yeah.
mean,
I
what?
think it's getting better slowly, but it's getting better. And I think some of the problem is, and it could be. I'm just guessing here. I don't know for sure, but it may be the fact that these young kids who are talented, they got a lot more power now. They can go shoot over and go to another program or whatever. So if you got a good program that's gonna provide these young men with the stuff that they need to get them there, if it doesn't suit that kid or that parent, they'll go shoot over somewhere else and they're gone, which is probably the worst thing to do.
Right.
You know,
I think the other thing that's coming out is this right here is somewhere the NBA is at fault for this too, because they've allowed it's like we've pushed these kids so much fast forward that we skip steps to get there. And now you see it
hmm
in the NBA game because none of those guys are ready to play at that level. Those
Well,
guys
well,
and like we said, the foreign players are because
okay,
they've been in club basketball, they've been in club, they don't have they have club academies. So you go
well,
to an academy
I
to
think
but
learn
that's
the
how
what
to
I
play.
examples
think.
there.
I think that's what the answer, Craig.
Yeah.
If the America wants their game to get where it needs to be getting technically wise, they need to start opening up academies. West
Yeah.
Coast, East Coast, Midwest, whatever. They need certain academies to make sure these kids are getting great educations. They're learning on and off the floor. Learning how to deal with their
And,
money. It's too
and
important. It's
to a
far too
degree,
important.
to a degree, you get that at certain places. So your IMG Academy,
Yeah.
those places you are now.
Montverde Academy,
Mount
things like that.
Verde, Mount
Yeah. So
Verde.
Well,
What's my
there's plenty of examples. I mean, by
right,
now, with the quote European invasion, the world invasion, like that includes Shea and Company. I mean,
right,
it's not like the example is not there. I mean, this is the model of efficiency for players. I'm not sure why it's not catching on. We know why to a degree. We know that the responsibility lies with the AAU programs. We know that the coaching hasn't risen to the task. Not in all cases, like you said, there are places where you can go and you can be guaranteed that you're getting the right stuff. But it's just not pervasive, and it's just right now it's mind-boggling because we see it within the guys' game, we see it with the other players, and there are American players that can go now. Don't get me
right.
wrong. Don't
No, no, no.
Oh, of
yeah, all
course,
right. And
of
but we're just
course.
talking about the vast majority of players, and we're seeing physicality have supremacy over technique, and that's backwards.
Right.
And in the ladies' game, we're seeing it being displayed the right way because, like I said,
hmm
there's athletes out there. You can't tell me Erica Wheeler's not. I'm not watching the Storm play. You can't tell me Gabby Williams isn't an athlete. These are athletes, man. But
Absolutely,
they're
yeah.
not dependent on their athleticism to get
No.
over.
And but you said it exactly. They're not dependent on it, where a lot of the American male players are dependent on that, and they're getting cut out of the. They're getting cut out on the. They're fine. They look like they're ahead of the curve in your high schools and your prep schools, but then by the time they get to college and to the NBA, now they're behind the curve because
Mm-hmm.
now it's caught up with them. Like you said, it's caught up with them. You no longer can just it comes back to the old saying that you said, Troy. Now all of a sudden the do-how isn't as good as the know-how. If you can get the
Never
know-how and
been.
the do-how together,
Yeah.
now you got amazing basketball.
Well, you know what? And I'm optimistic because when I look at the Thompson twins, I
Oh,
I I I just get so excited because every week, every time I watch them, I'm impressed with something else about their play. And
Get better and
they're
better.
not lights out shooters, but they do so many things right. On top of just you forget, and all of a sudden he gets a steal, and the guy's running back, and he just flies from outside the key. You like, damn, son. But it's on its way back, but I'd like it. I like it to be the most important thing when it comes to how we
right.
view development.
But I'll go back to this too.
This would be
And it go ahead.
no, go
And
ahead. I'm sorry.
it happens at the women's level. I was running a program not this past spring, but the spring before, and there was a guy that was in the gym with me, and he had worked with this pro team and all this and that, but he had the same philosophy that I see in the gym with AAU coaches and and trainers. He had that same philosophy of just come in and it's faster, 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 and let's just get going.
Mm-hmm.
And as
Yeah.
I was sitting in the gym, because I was in the gym with him for 3 months, and I just kept looking at it. And there's a lot of times I go in the gym, I don't believe I know everything or anything. I think even though all the experience I have, I always believe I can learn something from someone,
Yes,
whether it's positive or negative.
you
And the
should.
more I kept watching
True.
this guy, the more I kept saying, that is the problem with American basketball with the way what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, and I had no doubt about it. It's the one time I walked away and I go, hey, we're oil and water in the gym. We might want the best for every player, but the way we approach it and how it should be, and there's not just one way, but certain ways I know are deficient to players' games.
I should tell kids
Yes.
that. I should tell my kids that this isn't the only way, but this is for sure a fundamentally
Sure way. Yes.
sound way to have consistent success, and it
Yes.
gives us a sense of expectation. We are all on the same page. We have an expectation model. All right, let's jump into the ladies. In fact, we talk about the ladies, being above this negative press of our suffering American basketball model. It is refreshing to watch the ladies. It is, and
Yeah.
the WNBA playoffs are here for us. And but first off, we'll talk a little bit about some season awards. Now we saw. No surprise. I'm a little bit surprised because Ed, you had Nafisha Collier winning MVP, but
I did.
Asia Wilson wins that award. You can't take anything away from them, and
Not at all.
those lady aces are terrific. The rookie of the year was a no brainer, no doubter. Paige Beckers. What can you say
Mm-hmm.
about this young lady? I mean, I truly admire this lady on and off the court, the way she carries herself. I will never forget her acceptance speech for Player of the Year award 2 years ago. It warmed me up. Special. Who was the most improved player? Is that Veronica? Was that Veronica Burton? Am I right?
Yeah, Burton. Yeah, from the Valkyries. Yes, Burton.
Valkyries.
Yes.
So those are our awards, and I'm going to start off talking about my Storm. Now, in the last episode, I was excited. They got into the playoffs on the last second bucket, but they absolutely have their work cut out for them dealing with these lady aces. I mean, Becky
Mm-hmm.
Hammond didn't even have to play her players. The longest tenure of a player that game was 30 minutes, and unfortunately, that was Asia Wilson. She wrecked them with, what did she have, about 27, 28 points. and her normal overall play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the Storm have any hope of pushing this series further, NECA has to show up. Gabby Williams played well. I thought the youngster Malonga showed up with a double-double. Erica Wheeler's been consistent she's been consistent the last few weeks. But if we can't get Skylar and we can't get NECA to step their game up, the Aces are on their way. You guys think?
Well, I believe right now the Aces are probably playing the best basketball in the league.
It could be.
At this moment right now, I believe they're playing the best basketball in this league. And obviously they probably have the top coach in the league. So you put that together with how they're playing and they're peaking at the right time. You know, the good thing is the Storm, I think, got into the playoffs. I think it's going to be tough for them to advance because of that right there. But you got to give your credit to Becky Hammond and the Aces and what she's been able to do. She survived injuries at the beginning of the year, and then now they've now able to come and be full strength, and now they're knocking on the door to try to get back after that championship.
Well,
They're
they've
peaking
got
at the right time.
Yeah, they've got two all WNBA players. They've got Jackie Young and of course Asia, but they've also got Chelsea Gray. I mean, they've got some players.
Yes,
I mean, when I was watching the game, I just was sitting there thinking, the Storm just aren't quite ready, but they're coming. I feel like they're in a good place, but that's tough. And you've got, look, speaking of the all WNBA, we got Kelsey Mitchell, no surprise, terrific season. Alicia Gray, Nafisha, of course, and Alyssa Thomas. That's the first team.
Yeah, I believe, to me, the most I respect what Kelsey Mitchell did the most, because she basically, not only her and what's the other
Aaliyah Boston.
they really stepped up. And it's like they matured. Boston, obviously, this is her fourth year in the league,
and she made she's second team all WNBA.
Yes. And then Kelsey Mitchell, she was consistent all year long. She was just consistent, and she's fun to watch. She's fun to watch, So, but for them
that's what I mean by athletic. That's what I mean by hyper athletic. She's hyper athletic, but she applies her skill set in a very, very efficient and therefore consistent manner.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine if you look at all the talent in the NBA. Imagine if half of those guys were consistent with their efficiency. Think of a Bones. I mean, I'm no offense, young man, but Bones Highland, somebody that's so incredibly talented, but then you watch him play, you be like, okay, well,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing we say about Kuminga. It's the same thing we say about Kuminga.
To me, it's hard to say that, man, when you third, fourth options. It's hard, man. You're only getting 10 shots a game. So it's, you got to also think about that.
I'm apologizing to him because I'm just using him as an example. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's a good example, though, because Bones is talented, man. And I don't think he didn't get a fair shake in Denver, right? He was in Denver for a minute.
I think he just got signed with Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
Is he with Minnesota yet? But that kid can play, man. Bones can play. He just
But I was just using him as an example of guys that I see that come into the league with massive skill set, massive athleticism, or physical advantages. Put it that way. Whether they're hyper quick, whatever it is, fast, quick, and jump out of the gym. Some type of physical advantage that people would love to have. Long arms, rangy, so many things. But then, but then back to, we were talking about the ladies, Kelsey. Then you got the second team, Paige, wonderful. Rookie of the year, second team all NBA already. Talk about playing the game the right way. And it's not like she's the most physical, but at the same time, she's no pushover either, because she knows how to use her body. So she has quality body work. She has quality footwork, which aids and embeds you night tonight.
Yeah.
Real quick, Greg, we got Jackie Young, Aaliyah Boston, and of course, from the Liberty, Breonna Stewart. Those are the all NBA performers for the ladies. And, you know, and it's amazing. You talk about the top performers. We watched all 3 MVP candidates play over the weekend. They're all in the playoffs. So, so their level of, not only are they being successful, but their level of play is buoying the team, because we knew guys back in the day that could go get you 40, but it's not conducive to winning, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
I think what's also apparent too is, and for the longest I didn't really understand, but the more I listened to and talk to him, when you talk about coaching, and I know I'm gonna put this in there real quick. Gino Auriemma is a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a
Yes,
coach.
yeah.
Because
Yes.
all his players that play at the WNBA level, they are not lacking for any of those things that we're talking about. Their skill set, their application, their understanding, their IQs are unbelievable. Their competitiveness, their selfishness, the selflessness, all of that. They have that. Whatever he does at his program, it translates to being a winner at the next level as well.
He's like Pete
Mm-hmm.
Carroll, in my opinion. He understands people.
Yes.
And he understands people, and so that means he understands the type of a personality profile that fits his environment. So he brings them in, kind of like Mike Krzyzewski did. He has an idea about who belongs in this environment, who's going to be receptive to what we want to give them. And so if you marry the student with the proper teacher, you got yourself something.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, playing devil's advocate, he's also getting 4 or 5 5-star players in a year as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, he's getting Connecticut they normally recruits themselves. Like I said, a lot of these players come in, they're 5-star. Most of that skill level is already there. He's just implementing his program and playing the game a certain way. But I agree with what you're saying, Craig. I'm not taking that against what you said.
But that goes back to it had to start somewhere where you had to build that foundation for it to grow to where it's at. You know what I mean? So it's like,
that's true.
I mean, and that's where I say some of these guys, when you watch them, the coaches at those other levels, they shortcut the process. You know what I mean? And I know it's hard because the money that's being thrown around and kids taking off and all this and that, but somewhere along the line, you got to put your foot down and stand for something versus what everybody else is doing.
I said, I've been watching the girls' game for a while, and when you mention Gino, I always think back when Tennessee was rolling, right? When Tennessee was rolling, he and Coach Cummings had a problem. They were feuding to the point where they wouldn't play each other for a while. Coach Summit. I'm saying you're right. Coach Summit. They were feuding for a while because they were fighting over each other's recruits, top 5 recruits, right? So they were fighting over it. Now the fight now is with South Carolina.
Yeah.
See, South Carolina's in now. So, and I don't know if they, what kind of relationship they have off the court, but it's serious because there's only a certain amount of top 5 recruits, 5-star recruits, that is. And then where I think the coaching and the scouting comes in is be able to find those 4 and 3-star recruits and turn them into 5-star recruits when it's all said and done. See, that's it. Like, oh, this girl's gotten better. She's gotten better and better. For instance, like I said, my thing is your girl from South Carolina, Fort Wiley. Fort Wiley?
Yes.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Ultra talented. Ultra talented. I think she'll be a better WNBA player than she will a college player. But she left South Carolina, went to LSU. Now I want to see if she's going to develop. I want to see if she's going to develop in the 2 years she's with LSU. I want to see if Moki can change it, because Moki, she don't play, man. She's serious. Moki don't play.
I was gonna say that now. It's a little different now because like it's back to the point that you said earlier. Where's the time to develop the players now? Because you can't.
Exactly. See?
So
Yes.
trying to build your team chemistry or your program, that's a annual process now. That's
Yes.
you don't carry. You may have a totally different roster, or at least your main
Mm-hmm.
players are different every
Mm-hmm.
single season. So it's
Yeah.
hard to build that continuity. So now you're more inclined to look for the right now, the immediacy of the player that's going to help me without having to put too much into them. And so it's risky to take developmental players unless they're a 7-footer.
Yeah, see, but
Right.
you still have to, like you said, they're more focused on implementing their system, making sure the system is running the way it was supposed to run with those same athletes, right? So I think they have to focus on that a lot more than development. And we know development is more important than anything, especially when you're trying to get if a player's trying to get to that next level, you know. So it's a catchy situation, man. Real tough situation, but very interesting to watch on my end, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I love the super freak athletes. They're fun to watch. But in terms of for me, and everyone has the same mindset. Everyone on paper wants to win, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone doesn't realistically put themselves in the position to win. And
True.
that's from an individual standpoint, and that's from a team standpoint. And there's so many variables that go into that now that you have to be a psychologist, you have to have so many other skills to make it all happen. You have to have the right pieces in place, but it still comes down to the right personnel. Because if you talk about the right materials, the right pressure and the right time, MPT making creating the player, you still need the player to be receptive to whatever it is you're offering. And
Mm-hmm.
so that
Yeah.
that's the thing. If the environment isn't set up to for that process to happen fastly, then
Well,
you're going to continue to lose players by the wayside who are just going from environment to environment,
well,
talented, but not necessarily preparing themselves for their ultimate goals, and that's playing at the next level.
well, this is where I'll cut this on this right here, but this is where I think it's getting tougher and tougher for coaches at the next level. Is now when a kid comes in, you're not just dealing with the kid. You're dealing with that
His handlers.
entourage of people, the handlers. Now you're dealing with the handlers. So you can be coaching your ass off. But if that handler goes, "Hey man, we need to see this out of you so you can
Mm-hmm.
get to this next level and get that bag. This is what we need to see." Now it's almost like you're fighting against that force to try to get everybody on the common ground to play the way you need them to play to win games at a high level. And
Shador
I
That's
I
right.
I
Sanders.
I think coaching today at the highest level is harder than it's ever been for these coaches, and that's why you see some of the top guys just bowing out like, "I'm done with this. I'm I'm,
Well,
I'm
Oh
done."
yeah.
what you said speaks to what's going on with Shador Sanders, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He came and he's demanding to be seen as a brand and as coming into the league as an established brand, and that's very dangerous or in the eyes of the owners. And so but it happened in college, and it's gonna happen in the pros. So I mean, him being attached to his jersey sales and his following, he's being paid for all that. And the player is the college players are brands now, but they've
Yes.
always been brands. They're
Right.
just
Mm-hmm.
being
Right.
recognized as such, and if you have the right representation, they have the ability to apply that leverage. And like you said, the leverage can be like, think about how much power the Kawhi's uncle has.
Right.
Uncle,
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, but that's real because influencers, that's a part of our 2025 reality. Influencers
Yes.
and
Yeah.
influencers are in a whole bunch of different circles out here.
Yes.
His
Yeah.
uncle should
No,
have, his uncle
definitely.
should have that power though. He should have power. You know, because if
He
he's not
does.
there, then it's kind of you leaving it up to some hands to deal with it. People grabbing onto him and doing what they want to with him. So, if you got a kid needs a good entourage, people around him, a nice
Right.
foundation, and preferably it could be the parent. Hopefully his father's around, even his mother's around. Somebody's there to make sure she's putting him in the right hands. We've talked about this over and over. You
Right.
got to be able to figure out be able to understand your kid is getting better. Regardless, you may not even like the trainer. May not like the way you do things, but if your son or daughter is getting better, it's worth it to kind of give that trainer a chance and opportunity to let them do what they need to do. And then maybe later on down the line, you'll move somewhere else. But the kid got to get that great foundation. He has to.
That's right.
Yeah.
To give him a chance to compete.
That's right. The net.
One more thing.
Where it's
Man.
at.
You mentioned that freak athlete, man, and everybody likes to see a freak athlete. Me personally, man, who I've learned to like is the Rajon Rondos, the Steve Nashes. They got it all and make the right decisions on the court. Brandon Roy, and you introduced me to a player with a clean game.
Yes.
Brandon Roy his game was clean.
Yes, yeah.
Clean. Left,
Well,
right,
what
pull
Kobe
up.
said, what did Kobe say about him? Kobe said he has zero weaknesses.
Zero weaknesses. And that comes from training. A kid can be trained to do that stuff, but he has to be taught how to do it and when to do it. See, but you got to at least get that foundation, be able to go left, be able to go right strong, stop, crossover, change direction. That all has to be drilled into a kid early.
And he lucked out because not only is he super
seen
freak.
it. I've seen it with my own too. I've seen kids come in the gym at 7, 8, 9 years old, man. They could not dribble. They couldn't lay up. They couldn't shoot. By the time 9 or 10, you come back in, it's a whole different kid. This kid is competing, diving on the floor, attacking people, bumping off them. See, so I've seen it. I relate it to like Little League Baseball, the Little League World Series. Man, these kids are playing real baseball. I mean, you can teach a kid anything. It just got to be the right teacher. That's it.
Right. Definitely. No, that's great. That's a great point. Yeah.
Hey, so we're right here. We're at the end again. It's
fast.
Ed, I agree with all that, Ed. And the most important thing that you said to me is that it doesn't matter of course you don't want anybody abusing your kid or anything like that, but if you're in a healthy environment and it may be quirky or it may be unorthodox or those things, but if the net results are positive, then you absolutely need to have your child be part of that process, because at the end of the day, we know it's a beautiful struggle, but it's a struggle to get all that we want to say in this short period of time, because once again, we are at the end of another telecast. We are thankful that you sat and listened to all our talk. This is what we do. We've been doing this for 20 years, and I hope it was it was entertaining to you. If you enjoyed the content, please like, please subscribe, please share with your friends. We enjoy this. We want you to enjoy it, but we want you truly to get value from what we're talking about. We're here for you, and we're also here for each other. I enjoy this, but we're here for you, and we appreciate you.
That's right.
Once again,
That's right.
Great job, fellas. Great job. Yep.
I love it. I love this, man. See you guys next week.
All right, fellas. Yes, sir.
All right.